Hey everyone, how's your day? Vrime here, coming back at you with another tier list. Conquest is not joining me today or anyone else. I'm just gonna do this one on my own. I have some FE4 music playing in the background. I hope you guys like that. It's my favorite soundtrack of the series, so it's just the one I immediately went to, and I don't think it gets copyright struck. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing. The list is in alphabetical order, like the tier list or whatever. So that's how we're going to be doing this. We have these tiers. I don't do E tiers. So first off, we got Alan. And funnily enough, he's going to be put in the same tier as his name. He's pretty good. He has great availability. Pretty okay bases. He's got pretty good growths. I think a lot of people overemphasize how good he is, though. I do think he's an A tier unit, though. He's really good. And he's going to last you through most of the game, especially if you promote him. But I don't think he's gonna be super standout, if you get what I'm saying. I think he's pretty good. Astor, or Astal, or whatever. He is gonna go in A tier because honestly, I think he's pretty good. He's the best thief in my opinion. I think Chad's second best, and thief utility is just really good, especially because there's a lot of things you want to hit chests with. Well, actually no, he's B tier because you can buy chest keys. So yeah, I'm going to put him in B tier. He comes the best out of any of the thieves. Pretty good. I like him. Next up, we got Barth. Barth is going straight into D tier. He comes at level 9, so if you give him a level, you can promote him with the Night Crest you get in the chapter he joins in. But even if he promotes, his movement is still going to be so horrible that it just doesn't matter. So, yeah. Bartray, I don't have pretty much any experience with Bartray. But from what I know, he belongs in B tier. Take my opinion on Bartray with a grain of salt because I've never used him, but I'm going to be putting him in B tier. We have another Armor Knight coming in named Boars. I'm very sorry, XXX Tactician, but Boars is going... I can't decide D or F. I think I'm going to go low D for right now. Because, like, here's the thing. He has good availability, but he starts off at level 1 with pretty... And I'm assuming hard difficulty, by the way. I forgot to say that. Okay. We're looking at things such as availability, which is join time. Just utility, like if they can rescue, if they can canto, things like that. And their combat, which includes like their bases, and to a certain extent their growths, but definitely bases more than growths. So, yeah, Boris is just really bad. Like, I'd have to stretch really far to find something good about him, in all honesty. Because, he's just... And even if you don't listen to XXX Tactician. Even if you do promote him, he's not like the best or anything. It takes him forever to get there. The only good thing about him is his availability. That's literally it. Okay, next up we have Kath. I think Kath goes in C tier. She joins late. Her bases are so low. She still has thief utility, that's why she's in C tier. But her availability mixed with her stats are just not good. Not as bad as Barth or Boars in my opinion, though. Next up we have Cecilia. And I have a lot of good things to say about Cecilia. I think I'm actually going to put her in A tier. A lot of people may be wondering, holy crap, Vrime, what are you thinking? Why would you put her in A tier? But you don't get a lot of mounted healers in this game, and mounted healers get the utility of rescuing and like Kanto and stuff like that, while having the move to go and heal your frontline units. That's really good, and you only get, as far as I know, like, I'll check real fast, 2 of those. And so being 1 out of those 2 is a pretty good claim to fame, in my opinion. She comes pre-promoted. She joins in a horrible chapter for her, though. But after that, she'll be pretty good consistently. Well, actually, okay. A tier. That's... I'm gonna go high B for right now. High B. Yeah. High B. Her combat's pretty bad, not gonna lie. She can have a support with Roy, and that's cool. But yeah, her utility is really what puts her up here. I decided to put her in B instead of A because of her availability. But now we have a thief named Chad. Chad the Thief. Let's go. So, a thing that makes Chad really good, over in fact all these people I think, is that he is your first thief. His bases are eh. If you train him, he ends up being the best one, but that doesn't matter. What really matters is his thief utility with the stealing and the lockpicking. That's super important. And if you don't have Chad, you don't get a lot of the really good items early on that allow you to promote people so early. So I give him credit for most of that because he'll be your only thief until you get Astor. Well, not a lot, but like a few. You get what I'm saying? Well, you know what? No. Astor doesn't take that long to join. So, probably over Bartray, but not over... Actually, yeah, I'm thinking right here. Just that thief utility is so good. And he gets you so many red gems and stuff like that. Yeah. I think he's really good. Not combat-wise, utility-wise. Clarine is going right next to Cecilia for pretty much the exact same reason. Mounted healer. She is the second one. She joins a lot earlier. So you know what? Since she joins earlier, I'm going to put her over Cecilia. Her growths are kind of whatever, but that doesn't really matter. The reason she's here is her utility with rescuing Kanto, and sorry for that, anyone who heard that. Rescuing, that movement, getting to the front, that's all really important. So, yeah. For the same reasons I put Cecilia here, I'm pretty much putting Clarine there. Dayan. From what I know, I have never gone Sakai either, but from what I know, he's pretty good. Yeah, from what I know, he's pretty good. He is a Bocav, and those are pretty good in this game. I think I'm probably going to put him right here. Based off of all the gameplay and footage I've seen of him, I think right there looks good. But once again, just like with Bartray, take my opinion with a grain of salt since I've never actually used him. I always go Sakai and I always go Echidna. But, yeah. He's got really good bases. I think you can use the Brave Bow at base. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. You can use swords. That's alright. But yeah. He's pretty good, from what I know. Alright, Deke. So I'm sure all of you have noticed, but in my Iron Man run that is ongoing, I've had a really blessed Deke. And I'm not gonna let that cloud my judgment. I honestly think that Deke is like right here. He's pretty good, but his growths aren't as good as he makes them look in my Blessed run. He's good, but he's not like broken or anything. He's just pretty good. He's good for a bit, and then you usually eventually end up benching him for better people. Okay. Now we have Dorothy. Dorothy is our first F tier. Can attack on enemy phase. Horrible bases. I don't think she has that high of a starting level. There's just pretty much no reason to deploy her over anyone else that you have at that point. Really bad. Next up is Douglas. Douglas, it's D for Douglas, baby. So, he's got actually pretty decent bases. Like, I wouldn't say his bases are horrible, but I'd say they're decent. The only problem is that he's debatably the worst class in the game, Armor Knight. Or, no, he joins as a general. But that's still only, like, 5 move? I think it's 5 move. It's either 4 or 5. But both of those are just, they're not very good. Especially when you could just deploy one of the cabs or something, or a flyer. It just, and his combat isn't that good. It's not good enough to justify that move. So yeah, D tier for Douglas. Next up is my FE6 waifu, Echidna. I'm going to do that. Echidna, because once again, I'm assuming highest difficulty. Echidna comes as a pre-promoted warrior. No, not warrior, I'm so dumb. Hero. She's pretty good. She can use a lot of good axes. I don't remember exactly what her sword rank is. It's either E or D. So she can use swords as well. I know she can use the hand axe at base, which is pretty good. Even though 1-2 isn't the best in Fighting Blade. She's pretty good. From what I know, she's faster than Bartray, and that's why I put her above. I know that at base she's faster. She's just a pretty good unit all around. A nice pre-promote to have, kind of like Cecilia. I do think she starts to fall off in the late game though, especially on hard mode. I just think the stats are too hard for her to keep up with. So that's why she's kind of in the middle of B tier. And now we have Ellen. Ellen is C tier. She's an early cleric. She doesn't really have any amazing growths or anything. Her staff rank is E from what I know. It's either E or D. And that's just not the best. So she also starts off at level 1, so it takes a while for her to promote. And I just think that she's one of those, like, you use her in the early game and then she just slowly fades away. So Ellen's just not that good. She's okay, and that's what C tier is to me. C tier is okay. Next up we have Elfin. I've never used Elfin personally, but he's a dancer, and I get how dancers work. So he goes here. Well, actually, B tier. Well, I can see. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with that. Dancers are really good. I think people have seen in my Iron Man how much I use Lolum and how much of a difference it can make. It's just so big to give another unit an action again. That's just great. Next up is Fa. I don't think Fa is like... I don't think she's bad, but I don't think she's necessarily good. Her availability isn't the best. She can do this cool thing though, where based off of the deployment slot order, if she's the last one in the deployment slot, stuff like Purge clerics will always go for her. And she'll have enough res to take no damage from it. So that utility, and honestly it's super easy to train her if you want to. So, and she has effective against dragons, which is pretty good, and can help out in the late game. So I think I'm gonna put her right here. I think that's a good place for her. I'll see if I change my mind later. But yeah, I think she's pretty good. Merlinus is someone that's hard to rank. I honestly could justify putting him in S tier as much as it would tick people off. He can't die. And it's always cool to have your convoy around. But I can't justify putting him that high, so I think I'm going to put him in C tier. Yeah. I'm going to put him in C tier. Next up is Fear. Fear is a Myrmidon. And Myrmidon slash Swordmasters are really good in this game. They get 30 crit on promotion. And that's just insane. So, I think I'm going to put Fear. This is hard. I think I'm going to put her right here. She starts off at level 1, and that's kind of eh. It's pretty easy to train her, especially on the map that she joins on, with all the axe dudes. But, once again, it takes training. And another hero crest, and this game isn't super... What's the word? It's not super nice about hero crest. You don't get a bunch. And... yeah, she's okay. She's pretty good when she promotes. She's no wreck or anything, but she's good. You know what? Okay. I think I might do this. I think I'm gonna do that. Because after promoting, she's like pretty good. Like, I could justify taking her over like so many other people. I don't think she goes as far as being more useful than Astor though. Yeah. Alright, next up we have Garrett. Garrett's pretty good. And he has a pretty high axe rank. He has a lot of damage. The only problem is that his hit is just, oof, it's bad. His crit is high, and that's cool. But the difference between Berserkers and Swordmasters, both have a lot of crit. But the big difference is that Swordmasters have a lot of skill, which gives them a lot of hit. So not only will they possibly crit, but they will hit most of the time. You don't get that kind of luxury with Berserkers. So I think he's better than Fa, and I think he's pretty good. I honestly think a lot of people underrate him, but I don't think he's better. I don't know if he's better than Bartre. Once again, I don't have enough experience with Bartre. I'm kind of just putting him where I'm putting Echidna. So, yeah. Garrett, yeah, Garrett's good. It's just his availability isn't the best, and that hit just really, oof. He gets doubled a lot. It's not good. It's, oof. He doesn't have to be trained like Fa, which, in my opinion, makes him better. But I don't think he ever goes past the usefulness that Deke has early game, or that Fur has when she's trained. Because I would much rather deploy a trained Fur versus Garrett. So that's why he's placed there. Next up we have Geese. I don't use Geese too much. I do use them sometimes though. I honestly am going to put him right here. Well, he uses axes. And it does require an ocean seal to promote him, which is kind of hard to come by. So I think I'm going to put him right there. He's pretty good. And his combat can get a lot better. It's just, I don't know. You're really screwed over if you're an axe unit in this game. especially if you can only use axes. The difference between him and Garrett, though, is that Garrett comes promoted while Geese doesn't. And I think that really takes a lot out of... and Garrett gets hard mode bonuses while Geese doesn't. And I think the Geese isn't going to be as useful as Kath being a thief and getting all your chests and stuff. Or as Merlinus, who can just, if you're ever scared that someone's about to die, you can just put Merlinus in front of that person, and the AI will almost always go for Merlinus. Next up is a unit I don't have a lot of experience with, and that I wanted to get experience with in my Iron Man, but if you've seen it, you know how that went. So, Gonzalez. From what I know, he's probably right here. Well, actually, I'm gonna put him right here with Geese. From what I've seen, obviously this is another one of those, take my opinion with great assault. I've never used him. I wanted to, but yeah, I'm gonna put Gonzalez right here. Well, below Geese probably. I know he has a huge problem with it. I do know that he has a really good strength growth, and that his space strength is pretty good, but if you can't hit anything, what does it matter? And like I said, axes get really screwed in this game. Next up is someone I do have some experience with after the Iron Man. Well, experience with during / after the Iron Man. And that is, what's it? It's Hugh. Hugh is pretty good, especially if you recruit him with his, with the full gold. The lower you go in gold, the worse he gets. So, I think I'm gonna put him right there. I think he comes at level 9. And that's pretty good, because that's just one level from promotion. I think he's good, especially promoted. But the gold thing is a really hard sell, quite literally. And it's just, You already have more mages by that point, and that really hurts. And his availability isn't that great either, because of how late he joins. It's not super late, but it's still late. So, yeah. He joins at around the same time as Fa, but I think that Fa's highs are a lot higher. And Hugh I just don't think he stands out too much. And the fact that you have to use gold, and it's not even the fact that you have to use gold, that's fine, but it's the fact of like how much gold you use determines how good he is. It's hard to rate him, so that's where I'm going to put him. Next up we have a unit I really like, and this is Green. I'm going to put her right here. And for anyone wondering why I'm putting an archer well, not an archer, she's a sniper. Why I'm putting a bow unit so high, it's because the abundance of Wyvern Riders in this game. And Green comes as a pre-promoted sniper with, it's either C or B bows. And she can use the killer bow at base. And to have that against Wyverns is just amazing. Well, not like amazing, because obviously it's not an A tier, but it's really, really useful. So, I think she's really good, and honestly, as much as I love Echidna, I think she's more useful than Echidna. I don't think she's quite as useful as the Cav healers or Chad, but I think she's really good. Next up is Corel. The problem with Corel is that he has some of the worst, I think he has the worst availability in the game. He's the last person you recruit. He has pretty decent bases, and he has amazing growths, but it doesn't matter because he starts off pre-promoted level 19. So you get one level with him, and then that's it. He's good, especially if you need someone. But I think that availability screws him over really hard. Enough for me to put him, like, right here. Well, actually, I'm gonna go right there. I just don't think he's very good. Obviously, he's a sword master, so his combat's great. It's just the move, like he still has the problems of sword masters that I'm going to get into with Wrecker. But he just joins so late. He'll barely do anything. Next up is another sniper named Klein. Klein joins a little bit earlier, and that gives him... Whoa. Where'd I put him? Oh no, not D tier. No. Klein is B tier. Above I green because of higher availability. I don't remember which one's stats are better. It kind of doesn't matter to me though, because availability is a little bit more important to me. And honestly, I think Klein is the first... Well, actually, you get... He's the first pretty good bow unit you get. And that's going to help a lot with the archers. I'm not the archers, I'm so dumb. With the wyverns. He can use the killer bow. I think he comes with the silver bow. And that does like a bunch of damage to wyverns. So yeah, he's pretty good. And the snipers become even better if you go like Ilya. Because then there's a bunch of Pegasus Knights. And they'll just go in. They won't one-shot most of them on hard, but they'll definitely make it so that one of your other units can kill him, which is kind of what bow-type units are meant to do, in my opinion. So, yeah, Klein's good. Everything I said about Echidna, but just earlier. So, he's good. Lalum goes straight with Elfin. They're pretty much the same unit. Don't look into me putting one over the other. They're both good. In fact, they're both probably the same, from what I know. So, don't look into how I put him over her or whatever. I'll put her over him, just because she has a... I don't even know. She's a redhead. There you go. That's why she's over him. Next up is Lance. I'm putting... Even though I prefer Lance, and I almost always early promote Lance instead, I'm putting Lance below Alan, because Alan joins with some more strength, and all he needs is some speed level ups. It's much harder for Lance to get strength level ups, so, yeah. And honestly, more strength is kind of... It's more important than more speed, at least in FE6, in my opinion. So Alan above Lance. He's good for the same reasons I said about Alan. Rescue, Kanto, great availability. The best availability possible, actually. He can promote early, just like Alan. Really similar, in my opinion. They're both good, just promote whichever one you want early. It won't matter, in the long run, really. Just pretty good units. Next up is Lilina. My problem with Lilina is that she starts off at level 1 in chapter 8, and that's... Ugh, I don't like that at all. Her speed growth isn't the best, so she won't double usually, especially not on hard. So while her magic growth is great and everything, the fact that you have to train her and her speed growth puts her like there for me. Because once you train her, she'll have like amazing damage output for sure. And especially if you can get the 4 blaze on her eventually, oh my gosh, it's really good. But it's just getting her there that's the problem. You know, actually, oh no, I think I'm gonna go here. Like that. Especially since I'm considering hard mode, I think I'm gonna go there. it's really just the training. I think units you have to train are kind of a waste to deploy usually. I think once she's trained, she's really good. It's just that I could deploy someone like Marcus or Lou, who and the big thing is that she compares to Lou, who joins so much earlier. And Lou will probably be ready to promote by that point, so you're just going to want to use the guiding ring on Lou. So, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like Lilina that much. I think she's alright. Lot is bad. Yeah, Lot's bad. Lot's going D tier. His speed isn't super bad, and his hit is better than Wade. So he's better than him, but that's not saying much. They're both bad. Honestly, when I'm playing hard mode and I have to rely on them to hit, it feels like such a toss-up. I hate it. It's not good. Oof. Next up is a good unit, Lou. And I'm sure you guys have been seeing in my Iron Man, Lou is good. Especially on normal. He's not as good on hard at all. And he is a little growth reliant, but he has great availability. He's pretty much the best candidate for the guiding ring early on. And I honestly would put him right here. Because best candidate for guiding ring. He can do what the snipers do with an air caliber tone. He's just really good. I just think he's better than most of the people listed here for certain reasons. And honestly, like it's good to have a mage so early on in hard mode. Because a lot of the time he'll be able to actually do chip damage to them because their res isn't that high. And won't just like, the longer hard mode goes on, the less he can chip, and you really just start to see it. So I think Lou's B tier. I don't think he's as useful as the cav healers, but I think he's pretty useful. Marcus. This man is the savior of the early game. He goes... I don't know if I'm going to put him above the Answers, but holy crap. I'm definitely going to put him above Dane. This man is the savior of your early game. Because he is the only unit that most of the time doesn't get doubled. Can pretty consistently one round a few things. Like, he's just great. The only bad thing about him is like a true Jagan, he falls off in the late game. But even once he's fallen off stat-wise, he still has rescue utility and Kanto. So for all he contributes early on, and the fact that he can still kind of hold on to the late game just with rescuing and stuff like that, I think he's a great pick for A tier. Milady. We have our first S tier, ladies and gentlemen. I think Milady is the best unit in this game for multiple reasons. I'm going to drink some water before I go on my epic essay. Okay, so Milady she joins at level 10, right after you've possibly gotten an Elysian Whip from Tate and her troops. So you know what that means. That is a free promote, baby. You can just promote her, Wyvern Lord, and once you promote her, she has a lot of strength, and she doubles some things on hard, and that's pretty amazing. You don't get that too usually. If you give her a speed wing, you really see it. You really see how much that gives her. Really, really good unit. She has amazing move. I think she has 8 move. It's either 8 or 9. And she ignores terrain, and on the map she joins in. That's so useful. I'm sure you guys saw it in my Iron Man. It's so useful to have someone bulky and strong enough to take on other wyverns, because that's a huge thing that scares you, especially in hard mode. is that you can't do anything until the wyverns get to you. But when they get to you, they're so scary because you can't like form any walls to keep them from your healers or anything. But Milady can sometimes just kill them before they even get to your healers. She's super good. The only bad thing about her, like I said, is her availability. She uses the lances, which isn't that bad in my opinion. I don't think lances are that bad in FE6 at all. And she can, if you train her weapon rank enough, of course, she can use the Maltate into the end game and do so much damage to the dragons. I think she's just great. Best unit in this game, in my humble opinion. Amazing. Next up is another pretty good unit named Niami. So Niami is good in the utility department because you don't really have any super high magic staff users with high staff rank, which means that there's no, and Kastal has decent magic, but he doesn't have like high magic. She has high magic and a high staff rank. So once she joins, she's pretty much the best candidate for the warp staff and any other like res or magic based staffs. So, and honestly, I don't think she's the worst at combat either. I think she's fine at combat, even on hard. So I'm gonna put her right here. Definitely not as useful as Marcus, but really useful. Her availability kind of stings, but that's one of the only bad things I can say about her. She's not like a legend, a combat legend or anything, not at all, but that's not really what you should be using her to do. So, next up we have Noah. Noah joins at level 9, and that's really good, as I went over with Barth, because that means you're one level away from promotion. So, that's pretty good. And honestly, I think that puts him over a lot of units in B tier. So, actually, yeah, I agree with that placement. Well, no. Oh, give me a second. I'm gonna put him right there. Yeah, I think that's a great place. Because he can promote into a paladin in chapter 8, just like either Alan or Lance could. But the difference is, if you got a really RNG screwed Alan or Lance, Noah's probably your best option for it. His bases are pretty good. All he needs to do to promote is one level. And he has a pretty high sword rank. I know he can use the killing edge at base. So yeah, he's good. Next up we have Ogier. Ogier is kind of like great value Deke. I'm sorry, Ogier fans. He's just not the best. And he joins at level 1, and that, as you saw with Lilina, is not a good sell for me. So I think I'm gonna put him like, for example, like I think there's something to gain out of training Lilina. I don't think there's anything to train out of training Ogier. But I still think he's better than these dudes down here. So, right here, I don't think he's as useful as Alan's healing in the early game. But, yeah. Next up is another really good unit, and that is Percival. So Percival is going into S tier. He is a really good unit. He has amazing bases. He has pretty good growths. And he's a paladin, which is the second best class in this game, in my opinion. I think it's Wyvern Lord, Paladin, and the Sword Mastery. So, he has pretty much all around high ranks, except for, I don't think his axe rank is that high, but it doesn't matter, because that's the worst weapon type that he has access to. So, as long as he can use hand axes, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, he has a super high, I think his lance rank is his highest, and then his sword is his second highest. Really good. Like, don't sleep on this man. So good. Second best unit in this game. Well, actually, we'll see. I think he's definitely an S tier unit though, with his combat. And once again, he has the utility like Milady with the rescue and Kanto and all that. I still think that she's better, but holy crap, he's good. He's so good. Next up, we have Ray. I think Ray joins at level 9, which is cool, because once again, 1 level from promotion. And, he's alright. I think I'm going to put him right next to Lilina. His availability is kind of bad, because he doesn't join, like, super early. And I don't think he quite reaches Lilina's highs. But he's not far from promotion, so that's pretty good. Yeah, well actually no, dark magic is kind of bad in this game, so probably like right there. Next up is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Roy. Roy is the pinnacle of C tier. Even if you get a really blessed Roy on hard mode, he's still going to be okay. He promotes way too late. Once he promotes, he's good. Like, if he promoted earlier, I would put him definitely a lot higher. But he's just... He's good when he promotes against the Binding Blade, but especially on hard, no. So top of C tier for Roy. He has great availability. He can take on... No, not take on. He can do damage to calves early game. And it's just... He's alright. Definition of C tier. He's alright. Someone who is far better than alright is the man, the myth, the legend, Rutger. I think Rutger is the second best unit in this game. So, Rutger joins pretty early on. He joins in the same chapter that Clarion joins in. I'm pretty sure he joins at level 5. So you do have to train him a bit, but then he can promote in chapter 7 because you get a hero crest there. And the Swordmaster promotion, like I went over with Fear, is crazy. You get 30 crit. The stat gains you get are really good. He has a pretty high sword rank. He's just really good. He is just so good. I think he is your best, like, early-ish game unit, for sure. I think Marcus is your best early game unit, but then once Marcus is starting to fall off, Rutger comes in and just saves it. I've played this game without using Rutger before, and it is so much less fun. He is great. The problem with him is that into late game, especially on hard, he relies on critting a lot, and that's kind of bad. But he's still there in the late game and still contributes. His move is kind of bad. His move holds him back. I think that is... His move and his damage output late game is why I put him below Milady. But other than that, he's great. I think Percival is better, like, in combat and in utility. But I think his availability is really what pushes Rutger through the roof for me. So yeah. Rutger is a really solid unit, second best unit in this game for sure. Another pretty good unit is Saul. I'm going to put Saul above Niami, because before you get Niami, he is the best person to use the Warp Staff. And right after you get it in... I can't remember which one it is. It's the desert map that everyone hates. Actually, that was the second to last episode of the Iron Man that just got uploaded. So, you guys know what I'm talking about. he is the best candidate to use it. As long as you've been using staves a lot with him, he'll be able to use it. And you get a guiding ring if you get, what's her name? Sophia to the one little gate. So, yeah. If he's ready to promote, he'll promote. And as you guys watch me pitifully try, you can warp skip certain maps. And that's pretty good. So, solid A tier for sure. For pretty much the same reasons that Neomi's here, except for Neomi's a little better at the combat, but that doesn't really matter. They're here for their utility, and he has better availability. And he's a far better healer than Ellen. So he'll heal a lot more. His move does hold him back a little bit, but I don't know. He's just so much better at healing. And then, like, into mid and late game, he gets the warp staff shenanigans. Next up is Shin. I'm going to go ahead and put Shin right here. He's really good. He's got really good attacking speed. And he can definitely mess some stuff up, especially when he gets his hands on the Brave Bow or the Mergleys. If you use him too much, he'll go to Decay, but I'm not factoring that in. So, he's just really good. Obviously, he doesn't have much of an enemy phase, especially when he's using bows. But I think this game is a lot more player phase heavy anyways, so solid A tier. He joins at the same time that Fear joins, but I think he's a lot better. So I think A tier is a good place for him. Next up is our next F tier unit, Sophia. Imagine being Lilina, but even worse. She gets a worse class. She still starts off at level 1. She just has way worse bases. I could just go on and on and on about how bad Sophia is. I do think she is the worst unit in this game. She's bad. She's really bad. So yeah, I'm gonna move on. Okay. If you train her, she's pretty good to alright. But that's so bad. At least Lilina's like really good once you train her, but no, it's straight to D tier. I mean, no, F tier. The availability, everything. She just encompasses a bad unit to me. Next up is Sue. And Sue's pretty good. I think I'm gonna put her right here. She can do some chip to wyverns in Chapter 7 after she's joined. That's pretty cool. Other than that, I don't think she's that good. That's why she's going in B tier. I think she's good for a little bit, but then she falls off. Well, honestly, okay. I think I'm gonna put her right there. I think she's good for a bit, but then she falls off. I usually don't see myself deploying her at all. She starts off at level 1 as far as I know. It may be a little bit higher, but it's around there. And I just... I never see a reason to use her. Ever. So... I have used her, I just don't think she's like... She does have Rescue and Kanto and all that, and that's pretty good. Well, honestly, I think it's good enough for me to do that. Yeah, I think her utility is good enough for me to do that. But as a combat unit, she's really meh. And the fact that you have to train her kind of rubs me the wrong way. So, but she does have pretty good availability. So I think I can put her in B tier. Next up is Tate, and I'm going to put Tate like. I think she's better than Sue. But I don't think she's better than Garrett. So a lot of people, and I went over this when I got her in the Iron Man, a lot of people like to scream about how Tate is better than Shauna, which she's not at all. Because of like 5 or 10% like more strength growth. No, it doesn't. Ugh, it's so dumb. I think she joins at like level 5. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I think Tate joins at level 5. And you can use the Elysian Whip that you get from her troops to promote her after you've trained her and everything. But why would you do that when you get Milady next chapter? Who can just promote right away? And obviously if Tate's like level 9, that's still an option, but even if she does promote the same chapter as Milady, even unpromoted, Milady is going to be more useful than promoted Tate. She does have utility of like rescue dropping and all that, and that's really good. Like, she's still a fire, she's still good. I just don't think... Well, I think I could justify this. I don't think she's as useful in early game as Geek. I don't think she's as good as Fear. I don't think she's... Yeah, I can't put her above like these people, but I think I can put her here. For her utility and pretty decent availability. Yeah, I think I can put her in B. Next up is her sister Shauna. Shauna goes top of B. So, Shauna, I think I said it a lot in my Iron Man. Shauna is really good. She's kind of growth dependent, but she is your early game Pegasus Knight. It's pretty easy to train her. She's the best or second best candidate for an Angelic Robe. And she ignores tiles, just like Tate, but she joins so much earlier. And she's just got a lot of utility with rescue and Kanto and all that. I almost always see myself deploying Shauna unless, except for in late game she kind of falls off. But like other than that, like that's why she's not A tier for me. But I think she's definitely top of B. Yeah. Next up is a unit. Imagine Noah but bad. That's what Trek is. So I think I'm gonna put Trek here. He has the same availability as Noah. He's just nowhere near as good. So he has lower. He has E in one of his ranks actually, and that's so bad, especially joining in Chapter 7. Yeah, he's bad. Well, he's alright technically. His only saving grace is that he's a Cavalier / Paladin. That's literally it. I don't know his growths, but it doesn't matter. His bases aren't that good. He can straight up just die before you recruit him. And that happens a lot on hard. He's bad. I don't even know. Ugh. He's not good. He's fine for utility, but his combat is so bad. Next up is Wade, and I think I'm going to put him right here, right next to his brother. So they have really good availability. They're just really, really bad. That's literally it. Everything I said about Lot mostly applies, but he has less hit and gets doubled more, and that honestly is just a huge, especially since he's an axe unit and he already has bad hit, to have even worse hit and to get doubled more, like that's garbage. I'm sorry. So straight to D tier. Next up is another. Oh, we got a bunch of bad units. we got Wendy. Wendy's gonna go into F tier. Top of F tier though, for all you Wendy fans. I actually don't think she is the worst unit. I think Sophia is worse, and I think Dorothy is worse, even though Dorothy has better availability. Wendy joins as a level 1 armor knight in Chapter 8. Her bases are pretty bad. Her lance rank is alright. It's alright. Yeah. Honestly, like, if you're gonna use one of them, just use Barth. Once she's trained, she's fine. I think I'm mostly putting her above Sophia for availability, and I'm putting her above Dorothy for having an actual enemy phase and not being a bow unit with low attack. So, yeah, I think I'm going top of F tier for Wendy. Another bad unit is Walt. Walt is going at top of D tier. So, the thing about Walt is that he has early game chip and pretty alright hit on hard early game, but he just falls off so hard in the mid game. So hard. There's pretty much almost no reason to deploy him after the early-ish, mid-ish game. He's really bad. He's the epitome of a bad archer, in my opinion. I don't think he's the worst one in the series or anything, but he's obviously Dorothy's worst, but he's pretty bad. Next up is Yoder. Yoder joins late, but he has a pretty high staff rank, so I'm gonna put him like right there. It's always good to have another physic user, honestly, and he can use the warp staff pretty well and the rescue staff pretty well. So yeah, he has really late join time, but I think he's pretty good. His combat's bad, well, bad to meh, but once again, it's mostly utility that's getting him put right here. Next up is Yuno. And no, I'm not asking you if you know who is up next. Her name is Yuno. She joins late. Pretty much as late as Dane, but her combat isn't as good as his. I think she has the utility. I think her utility is pretty good. She's a promoted flyer, as far as I know. I think she's a promoted flyer. She has the rescue dropping and the canto and all that. It's just that her combat isn't that good. And Tate's combat is better. Tate has better availability. Shauna's combat is better. Shauna has better availability. So, I think she's below Fa, because I don't think she ever reaches Fa's highs. Fa's available sooner. Yeah. I still think she's better than Roy is overall. So, yeah. Next up is Zealot. Zealot is, if Marcus is the savior of the early game, I'm going to say Zealot is the hero of the mid game. Well, no, not, because Rucker is the savior of the mid game, but Zealot is the hero of the mid game. I think I'm going to put him right here. He has better bases than Marcus. And that's pretty much it. I like to refer to him as Marcus 2, and that's really how I feel. He's Marcus 2. I most of the time use both in the mid game, but he has all the same, like, little utility stuff as Marcus. He has worse availability, but better base stats, so it kind of evens out. So that's why I kind of put them next to each other. But I think that Marcus helps you out a lot more, just for what he does in the early game. So, yeah, I'm putting him right there. And then, lastly, is a super underrated unit, in my opinion. And that is Zeus. Zeus is going right here. So, the thing about Zeus, well, actually, okay, I'm about to piss a lot of people off. Zeus is better than Tate, and no one can tell me otherwise. So, Zeus joins kind of late. I can't remember. I'm gonna look it up real fast. I'm gonna look up what his level is. That way I don't get this wrong. So, I will be right back. Because this is really important to me. I'm very passionate about Zeus. Zeus joins at, oh my gosh, the music's gone. Let me help you guys with that real fast. Oh wait, no, I closed the window. I'm not reopening it. So, no music for the rest of the video. Sorry, guys. But the video's not going to last for much longer. Zeus joins at level 7. In normal mode, he has 14 strength and, like, 12 defense. which is pretty good, especially for normal mode. On hard mode, he gets hard mode bonuses, which is great. He's not far from promotion. He joins late, which is bad. I will admit he joins. The only bad thing about him is that he joins late, in my opinion. He never reaches the highs that Milady reaches, but his combat is so much better than Tate's, and his strength growth is so good. Like, people act like Tate's strength growth makes her better than Shauna, but Ziza's strength growth makes her better than Tate. Makes him better than Tate. And Ziza's really good. Honestly, I just think he's really overlooked. And I think he's a really good unit, but I don't think he's like as useful as Deke in the early game or trained for. Well, honestly, I think Deke's early game stuff puts him above Fur. And then other than that, I'm going to review the tier list before I end the video. That way, people who skip to the end get the good version of the tier list. I agree with this. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that. I honestly thought about putting... I'm honestly going to put Fa down to 1 space. I think she's almost C tier. Yeah, I agree with that. Then A tier. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So, I don't know a way. I think I'm going to click this. Whoa. Yeah, here we go. This is a way for everyone to see it before the video ends. This is my FE6 tier list. I pretty much stand by this. As I said throughout the video, I haven't used every unit on this tier list. And the units I haven't used include Dayan, Elfin, Bartray, and then I think that's it. Oh, Gonzalez. Yeah. So, that is it for this tier list. I hope you all enjoyed. If you liked the video, click like. If you didn't like it, feel free to dislike. If you have something to say, leave it in the comments below. And if you want more content, subscribe. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.